Hi there guys, so I wanted to record for you another video that would very simply explain how to form the preterite tense in Spanish. Now the preterite tense in Spanish is also just the past tense to say what you did in the past, a completed action that is over. Other videos will explain the imperfect tense, which is slightly different, but this is the simple, just past tense in Spanish. So let's get going. In Spanish, as you know, there's three types of verbs. And these are classified by their endings, and there are three types of endings as you would expect. So what are these? We have IR verbs, we have ER verbs, and we have AR verbs. And every verb in Spanish will either end in IR, in ER, or in AR. So IR, ER, and AR are three types of verbs in Spanish. So an example of each is vivir is an IR verb and it means to live, it ends in IR. Comer is an ER verb, it ends in ER and it means to eat. Hablar is an AR verb because it ends in AR and it means to speak or to talk. So the infinitive form always ends in one of these three endings. And these verbs in Spanish are formed in 6 different ways, just like we form our verbs in English. What does that look like? Well, we form verbs in English in this order. I, you, he, she, it, we, you plural, they. Just say that little rhyme for yourself. I, you, he, she, it, we, you plural, they. And these pronouns come in this order. In English, that's how we form our verbs. And in Spanish, it's exactly the same. So these pronouns show us who is doing the verb. So I eat, you eat, he, she, it eats, we eat, you plural eat, they eat. So these pronouns just form that very simple role within forming verbs. And so we use this form of pronouns in verbs in Spanish, and we use this very same order. So the order again in Spanish: I, you, he, she, it, we, you plural, they. So that's the order that we're forming our Spanish verbs in. So let's have a look at the endings in Spanish. AR verbs, so hablar is our example, and hablar means to speak or to talk. So we follow the same procedure that we learned with the present tense. All we do with the infinitive is we cut off the AR and we get what we call a stem, HABL, and into this blank space that I've underlined, all you need to simply do is insert the appropriate ending according to what you want to say. Remember, in the order that we've already discussed. So here are our AR endings. Aste, o, amos, asteis, aron. Repeat that with me. Aste, o, amos, asteis, aron. Good work. Okay, so we're going to look at ER verbs now. Remember, comer was our example, and we take it in the infinitive form. We cut off the ending, we get our stem, and into this space that I've underlined, we insert another set of endings. And here they are. Iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. So repeat that with me. Iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. Good work, well done. Okay, so finally we have our IR verbs, which our example that we used at the beginning of the video was vivir, which means to live. We take it in the infinitive form, we knock off the IR, and we add our endings to the space. And the good news is, with the preterite tense or the past tense in Spanish, there are only 2 sets of endings. So the ER endings and the IR endings are the same. So you only have to learn 2 sets of endings. So here we are again. Iste, io, imos, isteis, ieron. So the same set of endings for the ER verbs. Okay, now for a bit of practice. Maybe you want to go back in the video and practice those endings again. See if you can memorize them, take note of the accents in the different places. But take these three verbs, ER, IR, and AR, and take some time to practice conjugating each of them. To live, to eat, to talk, to speak. And see if you can just form them in the I, you, he, she, it, we, you, plural, they sequence. So, be beer, to live. Pause the video here and see if you can write out the verb in all its forms. Okay, so here we go. BB, BB stay, BBO. Note the accents on the first and the third person. Bibimos, BB stays, BB run. I lived, you lived, he, she, or it lived, we lived, you plural lived, and they lived. So you've just inserted your ending successfully on. Well done. Okay, so comer, to eat. It's an ER verb. Pause the video here and see if you can conjugate this verb in full. Okay, let's see how you got on. Comi, comiste, comio. Note the accent on the first and the third person. Comimos, comisteis, comieron. So again, the verb endings are the same for the IR and the ER verbs, and hopefully you were able to conjugate or form this verb in that sequence. Finally, hablar, which is an AR verb. Pause the video here and see how you get on. Remember, you're forming exactly the same sequence. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, plural, they. Okay, let's see what you've got. Hable, hablaste, hablo. Note the accents on the first and the third again. Hablamos, hablasteis, hablaron. Good work, well done. Okay, that's you done. That's how simple it is. 2 sets of endings for 3 types of verbs. If you want to do some further practice, here are 3 verbs that you can work with. Tomar, which means to take, correr, which means to run, and escribir, which means to write.